then mark the herbs that you gave them. So early medical record. If someone was getting, if let's say my father had heart problems and I go to the herbalist and they give him lavender, these dolls would serve as a way of healing. Now you know that voodoo is going to have harm and healing, but it also had this positive influence. In Louisiana, voodoo will be different than anywhere else in the world because of our African influence, our Haitian influence, and our mix of Catholicism. When I told you about Congo Square, down where those lights are, that's where the slaves would go on Sundays. Some of the earliest practices of zombie were there. When my students were writing papers, and it was a historically black college, the research about voodoo included, you never say you're a voodoo artist. Because if you had a white master and you were trying to practice voodoo against them, they would hold it against you. Therefore, you do not say that you practice voodoo. But they began to have charms and they began to do things that was a form of power. So that voodoo in this city was a way of establishing an identity and a way of establishing a way of life. Marie Laveau is a great voodoo practitioner. She is born in 1800, one of the most powerful women to live in our city. She was a beautician. She knew the secrets of women. She knew who was fooling with who, and therefore, if I go to her and I ask for a charm, in African French patois, we call it gris-gris. If I say, please, I'm madly in love with Philip, but I want Philip, and she knows Philip is tight with somebody and I don't have a chance, she'd say, who else do you like? And she'd wait till you came up with a good name. Sometimes you would wear around your neck, as part of that charm, rooster's blood. Now I said, if you're that desperate, it might be time in the 21st century to look for a new man, but I had an 8-year-old on tour. He said, that would be very interesting. I would be interested in you. I said, thank you very much. There really is a lot more about Marie Laveau, so let me just say this. In the 60s and the 70s, those great songs, I'll Put a Spell on You, Witchy Woman, Voodoo Queen, all of those are really based on her. She was a devout Catholic and a voodoo priestess. It is said that her child, her youngest daughter, looked just like her, and they thought she was in 2 places at the same time. Her grave is the second most visited in the United States after Elvis, and there was a tradition of either knocking on the tomb or marking it with an X. You're supposed to, the locals do not like that, and the Catholic Church is cracking down, but people for 100 and more years have been marking it with an X. In not this December, but last December, a homeless man painted it pink, a whole tomb. The Catholic Church got really nervous and they power washed it. Not a good idea. So that tomb was in construction from December until Halloween of the next year. So my driver, who used to be from Motown, he said, that's hokey pokey. But I'm like, I want to finish my book. So I'm knocking on that tomb and I'm turning around 3 times. I don't mess with Marie. If she's going to help me out, I'll take it. The other thing about Marie Laveau, she's not a cartoon. She stayed with those people as they died of yellow fever, and she also taught the slaves how to read. In our city, many people came to her and they knew she had the power and she was really wrong. There was a young man who was going to be put to death. The father said, I'll give you a house if you save my son. She made gris-gris. She placed it under his chair, and at the last minute, the judge changed his mind. The house where she lived was 1020 St. Anne, a couple blocks away. It's not the same house, but it's the same location. In Halloween time, because we could not get into Sabisa's, we went into a courtyard owned by her half-sister, and that is where they believe she practiced voodoo. The voodoo locals, who I did not meet, but the voodoo locals said she only practiced good magic there. But she is someone who bridges Africa and the New World, the Caribbean. She is someone who probably you didn't want to mess with, but when she dies, the New York Times has a front page story of her, and she probably lived more than 80 years. She was a force, and she was something to behold. And I want to get you to shake off the devil, so I'm going to keep moving, but I think this group needs the cat fight. So I'm going to go. This one time I had a young boy, and I said, do you want the cat fight or the pirates? He said, I'll take the cat fight. I'm like, okay. We're going to go here.